The number one concern that almost everyone has when they start investing money is, what if there is a huge market crash and I lose all my money? Usually this scenario is about as likely as being attacked by a shark while you're swimming. That being said, your odds of getting attacked by a shark are much higher if you are swimming in certain parts of the ocean compared to others. If you have money invested right now, then you might actually be swimming in shark-infested waters. And if you don't believe me, believe 8 of the world's top investors who have been raising the alarm with claims that we are in the midst of one of the biggest stock market bubbles in history. This information is crucial to know if you have money invested right now, and we want to jump right into it. Just be sure to give this video a quick like before we do. Now, let's take a look at what 8 of the world's top investors are saying about the stock market and why you need to pay attention. If you're not sure, a stock market bubble is when the prices of stocks get overvalued too quickly. For whatever reason, they skyrocket up and up until the bubble bursts, and then they come crashing down to normal levels. For example, in 2001, the internet was surging in popularity, and new internet companies were popping up left and right. People got excited about these internet companies and expected that many of them were going to shape the future of humanity. Investors rushed to buy stock in them, and their stock prices surged. As stock prices surged, investors who had chosen not to invest initially started to feel FOMO, or the fear of missing out, and rushed to buy in as well. All of this buying pushed prices even higher. In reality, most of these internet companies made very little money and had questionable business models. Soon enough, investors figured this out and started to pull their money out. This created a panic, and in a matter of months, stock prices came crashing back down. Investors lost billions, and hundreds of these companies went bankrupt. A similar event happened in 2008 with the housing market. However, it's been 13 years since that happened. So, are we due for another crash? These investors definitely think so. Let's see what they have to say. Michael Burry is the legendary investor that was featured in the film The Big Short. Right before the 2008 financial crisis, Burry made headlines by betting against the housing market, which was considered sacrilege at the time. This bet paid off for him big time, and he ended up making about $700 million for his clients off of this one trade. Today, Burry believes that we are in the middle of the greatest speculative bubble of all time in all things, and has cited hype around Reddit stocks and cryptocurrencies as proof of this bubble. The next investor who has raised concerns is Jeremy Grantham. Grantham is the chief investment strategist at Grantham, Mayo & Van Otterloo, which has more than $118 billion in assets under management. Grantham has gone on the record that a crash is coming, saying, "When you have reached this level of obvious super enthusiasm, the bubble has always, without exception, broken in the next few months, not a few years. We will have to live, potentially, possibly, with the biggest loss of perceived value from assets that we have ever seen." Since Grantham has built his whole reputation around avoiding overly speculative assets, these words carry a lot of weight. You might recognize Robert Kiyosaki's name from the incredibly popular personal finance book, Rich Dad, Poor Dad. Kiyosaki has made his fortune in real estate and famously despises stocks for the lack of control that they give you. This is because when you buy a stock, you have zero control over whether it will go up or down. In June of 2021, Kiyosaki said that the biggest bubble in world history getting bigger, the biggest crash in world history coming. He has publicly been holding his money in gold, real estate, and cryptocurrency for years. Leon Cooperman is the CEO and chairman of Omega Investors, which manages $3.3 billion, most of which is Cooperman's personal wealth. Here's what he had to say about the current state of the economy. "Everything I look at would suggest caution. Intermediate to long term would be the rule of the day. When this market has a reason to go down, it's going to go down so fast your head's going to spin." Building yourself up from basically a $0 net worth to over $3 billion can't be done without doing a few things right. For this reason, it's probably a good idea to listen to Leon. If you've already taken away something valuable from this video, be sure to hit the like button and subscribe below. Once you've subscribed, hit the bell icon so that you'll be alerted when we post new and important information. Now, we have words from a few more investors to share with you. Druckenmiller is the CEO of the Duquesne family office and has managed billions of dollars for some of the biggest asset management companies in the United States. One of his most famous investments was when he shorted the British sterling and essentially broke the Bank of England. Now, Druckenmiller has stated, "I have no doubt that we are in a raging mania in all assets. I also have no doubt that I don't have a clue when that's going to end." Jeffrey Gundlach is the billionaire investor behind Double Line Capital, who is better known as the Bond King. He has been investing money for major firms almost all his life, but now is sounding the alarm. He has claimed several times that the stock market is incredibly overvalued and has predicted a fall of upwards of 15% when the downturn comes. This crash, he claims, will be fueled by people pulling their money out of Reddit stocks and speculative assets once the prices of these assets starts to drop. If you've ever watched NBC's Shark Tank, then you should be familiar with Kevin O'Leary, who is one of the sharks on the show. He has much more of a business-oriented background, but is also the CEO of his own investment group, O'Leary Capital. Since he is experienced in so many different business ventures, people often seek his advice. O'Leary thinks that the generation who is trading now is very risk-averse because they have never lived through a major recession. He thinks the people who are betting big on speculative assets and using margin to power their trades will learn an important lesson when we go through a sustained correction. You know things are getting treacherous when even a shark is signaling caution. Gary Shilling is an American financial analyst and commentator who is the president of his own firm, Gary Shilling & Company. He has an incredible history of predicting recessions that dates back to the 1960s. Today, Shilling has stated that he believes there is going to be a market crash in the near future, although he declined to name a date, saying, "Speculations outrun any logic, and that's probably going to be true of this one. But at some point, boy, there's going to be a lot of blood on the floor." Now that we've seen what some of the world's biggest investors are saying about the current state of the economy, let's take a look at a few ways that you can prepare for a potential recession. Preparing for a recession is a little bit like putting on your seatbelt. It's much better to put your seatbelt on first thing when you get in the car. If you try and wait until you're in the middle of a crash to start buckling up, then you're going to be in for a bumpy ride. With investing, this means that you should always be keeping a portion of your money in assets that are much less volatile. A few good places to keep your money are in commodities like gold, bonds, or blue-chip companies like Amazon and Facebook. If you're concerned about a recession coming, then I'd recommend putting at least a portion of your money in assets like these. Another good strategy to incorporate when preparing for a crash is to continue saving cash, but limit the amount that you're investing. This way, if the stock market crashes, then you'll have some cash on hand that will allow you to keep buying stocks at lower prices. The absolute last thing that you want to do when the stock market is crashing is rush to sell all your investments. I hope that you found this video valuable in learning what 8 of the top investors are saying about the stock market and how it will impact you. I plan to keep you updated on new updates on the best places to invest your money in an ever-changing world. If you're interested in learning new investing strategies and tips, please be sure to subscribe below and remember to hit the bell icon after you do. That way you'll be alerted every time that we post a new video. If you found this video valuable, please be sure to follow the very first link in the video description below and subscribe to my newsletter. By subscribing, you'll receive my most valuable tips for investing, any potential stock picks that I come across, and more informative content similar to what you've just watched. Most importantly, I don't believe in sending automated emails or spamming my subscribers. Instead, you can trust that each email that I send will be filled to the brim with valuable information that's sure to make you a better investor. Thank you so much for watching. I appreciate it, and we'll see you next time.